The man froze mid-step. There was someone by the hitch post. Small frame. Hair tied back like she wasn't planning on staying long. She was adjusting the saddle straps like she owned them. He cleared his throat. She didn't look up. "Don't call anyone." "I didn't." "Good." She pulled the strap tight, knuckles white. "You got oats?" He blinked. "In the shed." "Show me." She moved like she'd done this 1,000 times. He stepped aside as she brushed past. No shoes. Toes like she'd run here, hard. He pointed to the shed. She walked straight in. He followed slowly. "Are you hiding from something?" "Someone," she said. "Big difference." "You running?" "No." He glanced down at her hands. Calloused. Trembled a little when she poured feed. Not fear. Cold, maybe. Or memory. "You been on the road?" "No road." She stepped out. The horse she was saddling wasn't his. He didn't ask. She rubbed its jaw like it was hers. The animal leaned into her. "What's your name?" She kept rubbing. He tried again. "Girl, you don't need it." "I think I do." "No, sir." She finally looked at him. Her eyes were too steady. "You need to forget you saw me." "That ain't easy." "It is." She turned back to the saddle, adjusted a buckle. "Straps are wrong, ain't meant for speed." They were his, Papa's. He rode slowly, like he thought time would wait. He watched her fingers work. Slow. Sure, the kind of movement you do when it's the last thing you remember, right? "You eat?" "No." "Are you hungry?" "No." He didn't press. The silence held a shape. Solid. Breathing. A truck rumbled by on the ridge. She stilled. Didn't duck. Didn't run. He tilted his head. "Are they looking for you?" "No." "Then who are they looking for?" She bent down and tugged the rear strap hard. The leather groaned. She muttered, "If they ask." "I was never here." He stepped closer. "You have a family?" "Had." "Where?" She stood. "They're gone. All of them." "How long ago?" She looked him dead in the eye. "Are you asking for you or for them?" "Just for me." She didn't answer. He scratched at his neck. "Look, you want to stay the night?" "No." "You'll freeze." "I'll manage." He reached out to touch the saddle. She flinched. Not big, but enough. His hand stopped midair. "That saddle yours?" he asked. "No." "Then why fix it?" "Because if he saw it like this, he'd slap the teeth from the one who tied it." "Your papa?" She nodded once. "You miss him?" "No." "You lie." She bit her lip. He didn't deserve the saddle, but it still remembers him. Wind picked up. Dust swirled near their boots. The horse huffed. A flash of silver glinted down by the road. A badge on a man, standing still. She saw it too. "Don't move," she whispered. "I won't." She backed into the shadow of the shed. The badge didn't call out, didn't step forward, just watched, then turned, climbed into his truck, and drove off slow. She exhaled sharply. "They're close." "You said they weren't looking for you." "I lied." "Why?" "Because if you knew why, you'd try to save me." "And that's bad?" "You'd die." He squinted at her. "You sound like you've seen it happen." "I have." "Did you do something wrong?" "No." "Then why are they hunting?" She crouched, hands on her knees. "Because I remember what they buried." Silence again. This time it didn't breathe. He leaned against the post. "You got proof." She tapped her chest. "Here." "No paper." "Burned." "No witness." "Dead." He stared at her. "That leaves me." "You want that?" "No." "Then forget me." She turned to leave. He blocked her. "Wait, you got a plan?" "I'm making it." "You got help?" "I don't need help." "That's what folks say before they vanish." She smiled, tired. "Then maybe I'm meant to vanish." He sighed. "Where are you heading?" "Somewhere they don't know my name." "You think that place exists?" "It has to." He didn't stop her when she walked toward the tree line, just followed with his eyes. The horse stayed tied, quiet. She paused at the edge. "If they come back," he said, "I won't lie for you." "I know." "But I won't speak either." She nodded. "That's enough." He swallowed. "You're young." She looked back. "That's a mistake they keep making." Then she was gone. He stood there long after. The saddle still smelled like sweat and dust and memory. The straps were tight. tighter than they'd been in years, like she'd meant them to hold. He untied the horse. I walked it back to the barn. Didn't say a word. When he turned, he found a piece of paper under the rail. 4 words, written in charcoal. Sharp. If they ask. Forget me. Boots hit gravel. Crisp, certain. The gate hinges and rattle under weight. He didn't turn, just kept splitting wood like he hadn't heard. The voice came clean and heavy. You saw a girl come through here. The man didn't flinch. No. You sure? He set the axe down. Sure. The badge stepped closer. Leather creaked. She'd be young, thin, maybe bleeding. Plenty of girls look like that. This one doesn't walk right, limp in the left leg. He shook his head. No one like that came through. Behind the barn, the saddle straps moved. Quiet fingers worked them under the rail. Do you mind if I look around? The badge asked. The man glanced up. You got a warrant? No. Then I mind. The badge studied him. Tired eyes, hands like fence posts. Name's Deputy Carr. I didn't ask. Are you always this friendly? I'm this clear. More silence, the kind that weighs your words before they leave your teeth. The deputy scratched under his chin. You run stock? No. Then what's with the saddle? Old habit. Mind if I take a look? The man shrugged. Won't find anything but dust and leather. Carr stepped slow, each foot deliberate. He moved toward the shed, toward the rail. Behind it, she crouched, tight, still. Her fingers are still moving, even now. Like if she stopped, the leather would betray her. The deputy reached the post, touched the strap. This is yours. It was. You use it. No. Then why is it warm? The sun hit it. Carr didn't smile, didn't blink, just let his hand rest there a second longer than it needed to. You sure no one's been through? Positive. She wouldn't have come in loud, might have asked for feed, water, maybe a place to hide. I still haven't seen her. Carr knelt by the leather. Straps are tight. They stay that way. Knew not, he said. The man's voice didn't shift. Could be. Carr stood. Let the silence spread between them. Then he called out, sharp, sudden. Anyone back there? No answer. The man didn't move. He called again. Girl? Are you hiding? Only the horse huffed. A crow barked from the trees. Carr stepped back. I'll be around again. I'll still be here. The badge tipped his hat, but his eyes never left the rail. He walked slowly back to the truck, got in, didn't start the engine right away, just looked in the mirror, then finally drove off. The man waited a full minute before speaking. You all right? No answer. You can breathe now. She stood, brushed dirt from her knees. He smelled it. He didn't prove it. She came out, kept her head low, moved to the saddle again. Why'd you stay still? He asked. Because fear's louder than silence. You think he'll be back? Yes. He watched her retighten the strap. Have you ever learned to lie? She tugged it firm. I learned from the best. Your papa? She nodded. He could lie with his back turned. What happened to him? She didn't answer, just whispered, Papa rode with these. The man leaned on the rail. You hate him. I miss what he wasn't. That ain't the same. I know. She tightened another strap. You always fix things when you're scared? He asked. I always fix things. The wind pushed a dry breath across the field. The barn door creaked once, then stopped. You should leave, he said. I can't. You should. They'll chase. They'll find you either way. She looked up. You want me gone? No. Then don't tell the sheriff. He looked away. I already did. I know. Her voice was flat, but her hands shook. She tucked the tremor into the leather. He crossed his arms. You gonna tell me what this is about? Not yet. Why not? Because once you know, you'll start choosing. I already am. Then stop. He stepped back. I'm offering help. I'm offering silence. That ain't the same. She looked at him full now. You ever choose a side and lose everything? He didn't speak. I have, she said. I chose the truth. And it killed him. And it didn't even matter. She dropped the strap. Let it dangle. You think hiding'll fix that? Number, but it'll give me one more day. He rubbed his jaw. What happens after that? I'll decide when I get there. Won't be alone, he said. They'll send more. I know. And if they bring fire, then we burn. He nodded, slow. Are you hungry now? Yes. He turned. Come on then. She hesitated. He looked back. You trust me yet? No. Good. That means you still have sense. She followed. Behind them, the saddle stayed still. Tight. Waiting. Like it knew the next rider would either run or never make it out. They waited until the Badge's truck crested the hill. The man didn't speak, just nodded once and walked toward the rail. She followed close, step for step. Dirt still soft where her knees had pressed. Her breath clipped short. You sure he's gone? No. He reached under the saddlebag, fingers slow. You hide anything in here? She stiffened. Why? He lifted the flap. Don't. I already did. Inside, paper, folded, yellowed, edges torn like it had been handled too many times, and not gently. He pulled one out. Stop! You left it. You weren't supposed to look. He unfolded it. Black ink. Names. First only. No last. Then beside them, marks, circles, crosses, a star with a slash through it. What are these? Proof. Of what? She took it back. Hold it close to her chest like it might burn. You weren't supposed to see. There's more. He reached again. She didn't stop him this time. Another paper, a child's drawing at first glance, but no, roads, fences, a stream, and a circle, penciled rough, like a thumbprint. The word mind scrawled beside it. Where's this? Nowhere. You brought it. I shouldn't have. But you did. He studied it. You draw this. No. Then who? Someone who didn't come back. His thumb traced the streamline. Is it still there? Yes. This point. Is it a place? It's the place. He looked up. The one they buried. She nodded and kept digging after. His voice dropped. You saw them. I counted how many went in. None came out. And your Papa, she hesitated. He knew. He drew the map, but he thought if he turned it in, someone would listen. Did they? They erased him. The wind lifted the edge of the paper. It flapped once, like a warning. He folded it slowly. What's in that circle? I don't know. Don't lie. I'm not. You said you counted. I did. But didn't see inside. No one does. They just drop things down. Bodies? Sometimes. What else? Secrets. He held the paper tighter. You think the Badge knew. He's not the one I'm scared of. Then who? She didn't answer. He slipped the letters back into the saddlebag, tied the flap closed. Are you carrying this long? Since spring. And you didn't burn them? If I did, I'd have nothing left. Is this the only copy? She shook her head. They made more. Where? Scattered. How many? Not enough. He leaned on the rail. This spot here on the map, is it far? Not in miles. But in memory. He stared off toward the ridge. You want to go there? I have to. Why? To end it. He turned to her. You think the truth's going to fix this? No. Then what? It'll kill it. He studied her face. You think that's worth it? Yes. You think you'll live through it? No. He didn't blink. You want me to come? She nodded. You already did. He sighed. You still don't trust me. I don't need to. I just need you to hold the paper. That's all. Number I need you to not fold when they ask. They? She nodded toward the saddle. The ones who marked it. He opened the flap again. Look at the names. You know what these symbols mean. She pointed. Circle means watched. X means erased. Star means questioned. And the slash, she hesitated, means they talked back. And they disappeared next. He counted. 10 stars, all slashed. Now do you understand? No, he said. But I'm starting to feel it. She sat on the rail. Papa was the first star. And you? I'm the one they missed. He looked out at the flat stretch of land beyond the trees. You think this road's gonna end in truth? No, she said. It's gonna end in fire. He nodded. Then we ride before the wind changes. She stood, touched the saddle. Leather's stiff. It's scary. She smiled, just barely. It remembers. He tightened the cinch. You ready? No. Good, only fools are. She climbed up, slow. The weight settled like memory. He mounted behind. I held the bag like it was carrying something living. As they turned from the post, the leather creaked beneath them, soft, strained, like a throat about to speak. But it didn't. Not yet. The hooves slowed at the dry edge of what used to be a creek. The bridge stood above it, splintered, scorched at the railings, wide enough for 2 horses but not trustworthy. She leaned forward in the saddle. "It's dead," he nodded. "Been dry for years. It still smells like water. That's a memory." They crossed slowly. The horse picked its steps between sun-baked cracks. Dust curled at its ankles, whispering over buried prints, old hooves, older wheels, fossils of motion that didn't come back. Halfway across, the girl paused. "Look." He turned. Headlights, low and wide, cutting through brush like blades. 1 set, then 2. "Run?" he asked. She didn't answer. The engines got louder. "Run," he snapped. Too late. The first truck stopped just before the slope. Doors opened. Badges stepped out one by one. No rush, no shout. "Stay still," she murmured. Too late for that, too. The second truck didn't stop. It rolled up slowly. Tires crushed dry twigs like bones. Then it idled at the edge, engine humming low like a warning not yet given. From the shadows, a voice called. Calm, flat, final. "Bring me the letters." No one moved. Boots clomped toward them. A deputy with broad shoulders raised a rifle just enough. "Hands." "No," the man said. "Then kneel." "No." The badge tilted his head. "Then we shoot." The girl swung off the saddle, reached into the bag. The deputy raised the rifle higher. "Don't." She pulled out the straps instead, tight, folded like an offering. She held them high. "These?" The deputy blinked. "They're just leather," he said. She stepped forward. "Number their signs. Shields. Stories." "You're making this hard." She took another step. "It's already hard." The voice from the truck spoke again, soft like a sermon. "Bring me the letters, or bring me her." The man climbed off the horse. "You'll get neither." Another badge joined the first. "Are you protecting a criminal?" "I'm protecting the truth." "That's not your job." "It is now." The rifle didn't lower. The girl looked at the truck. "Who's in there?" The deputy didn't answer. She looked at the man. "Give me the paper." He shook his head. "No." She whispered, "I won't let you die for this." "I'm not dying. I'm deciding." A third truck creaked up. The bridge groaned. The man turned to her. "Run if I say." "I won't." "You will." "Say it now then." He didn't. The door to the second truck opened. Boots stepped down. Shined. Black. Precise. The man from inside wore no badge, no patch, just a coat, too clean for dust. He walked to the bridge, hands in his pockets. I looked at the girl. "You're her." She didn't flinch. "You know my name." "I erased it." "You remember it then." "I remember what should be gone." She lifted the straps again. "These belong to him." The man in the coat stopped walking. "They should have burned." "They didn't." "Why carry ghosts?" "Because they scream louder than you whisper." His eyes narrowed. "You think straps and stories will save you?" "They already did." He looked at the man holding the saddlebag. "You don't know what you're in." "I know enough." "You think you're the first to try?" "No." "Then why bother?" He opened the bag. The badges twitched. Guns rose. The girl stepped in front of him. "Shoot me then." The man in the coat raised a hand. The rifles paused. "Why do this?" he asked. "Why come back?" "Because I remember," she said. "You were a child. And now I'm not." He moved closer. "You could disappear." "I already did." He looked at the letters in the man's hands. "That paper dies with you." "No," the man said. "It lives now. You won't reach town." "We'll reach something." A horn echoed in the distance. Long, low. The kind trains use when they don't plan to stop. The man in the coat stepped back. "Last offer." "No," the girl said. "I wasn't asking you." She didn't blink. "Doesn't matter." He nodded. Boots retreated. The coat disappeared behind metal. The truck door slammed. One by one, engines rumbled, turned, left. The deputies followed without a word. When silence came again, it wasn't empty. It was thick. The girl let her arms drop. The straps hung loose. The man exhaled. "You all right?" "No." He looked at the paper still in his hands. "They're not done." "They never are." He stared down at the bridge. "Why'd they walk away?" "Because we stood still." She looked across the dry creek. Next time they won't." He nodded. "Then we don't wait." She swung back into the saddle. He mounted behind. The straps creaked. The leather bent, but it held. The horse stepped off the bridge. Dust settled over their prints. No water below, no wind above, only names in a bag. And people still pretend the place on the map doesn't exist. The sky bruised purple as they rode into the weeds. Branches scraped, burrs stuck to her sleeves. The map folded tight in his back pocket felt hotter than the air. Neither of them spoke. They'd outrun the last set of headlights barely. No sirens, just silence trailing them like a second shadow. The horse slowed. She pulled the reins. "There," she whispered. He squinted ahead. Overgrown pasture, fence long down, a circle of stone swallowed by nettles and vine. "That's it?" She nodded. He dismounted first, pulled the map, matched it to the clearing. "It's dead," he said. She slid off the horse. "It's waiting." He stepped close. Stones slick with moss. Top rim broken in 2 places. No rope, no bucket. "Don't," he warned. "Lower me," she snapped. "I mean it." "So do I." He dropped to one knee, palmed the edge. "This thing's older than the road." "Exactly." She yanked the saddlebag free, fished the leather strap, tied it around her waist like she'd done it before. "You've done this before." She didn't answer. He tested the tension. "If you fall, don't let go." She stepped up on the stone lip. Wind still. "Say it again," he said. "Lower me." He looped the strap through the saddle stirrup, braced his legs. She dropped slowly. Leather hissed against the rim. "How far?" he called. "Keep going." Dust fell beside her. A small pebble clicked off a stone. "I don't like this." "Keep going." The wind picked up. Just a breath. Just enough to move the weeds. She called, "Stop!" He froze. "You hit bottom?" "No." "Then what?" "Listen." He held his breath. The wells sighed. Not an echo. Not air. "It sounds cold." She whispered. "It knows." "Know what?" "Who came?" "Who didn't leave?" "Pull you up?" "No." "Now?" "Not yet." She lit a match. The flame flared, danced, and died in a second. "There's something carved." "What?" "Words. Faint." She reached. Fingertips scraped damp stone. He felt the strap shift. "It's slipping." "Hold." "You've got seconds." "Then listen to me." He clenched the strap tighter. "Tell me what it says." "Not in English." "What then?" "Marks. Symbols." She rubbed them with her thumb. "One's like a cross, but backwards." His voice got tight. "We need to go." She reached again. "Wait." Something thudded. Not loud. Not far. He jerked. "That wasn't you." "No." "Above?" "Maybe." He braced harder. "Climb now." She kicked the wall, reached the rim. He hauled fast. Dirt rained down. She emerged, panting, wild-eyed. "It's not well." "What is it?" "It listens." He pulled her free, dropped the strap. Behind them, the wind stopped again. They turned. The weeds around the stones now bent outward, all in the same direction. He stepped back. "We need to burn this." "No." "It's not natural. It's a memory." He grabbed her shoulder. "We came for proof, not ghosts." She shook him off. "It's both. You want to die here? I want someone to know what this is." He looked at the stone ring. "It's a hole. It's a record." "Of what?" "Promises," she said. "The kind folks make in secret." She crouched by the rim, placed her hand flat on the stone. "If I speak," she whispered, "do you remember?" The well said nothing. He pulled her up. "We're leaving." She didn't fight. They mounted again. The leather straps hung loose, not from fear, from knowing too much. As they rode off, neither of them looked back, but the well exhaled, just once, low, steady, old enough to remember the names that never made it onto paper, old enough to wait. And still listening. Ash stuck to her skin like a second breath. Fingertips black, wrists smudged gray. The box in her hands was no heavier than memory, but it made her shoulders slump. The man stepped from the trees and saw the smoke still curling behind her. "You burn it all?" "No." "What's left?" "Enough." She opened the lid. Inside, just a curled paper edge, burned at the corners. One corner still held ink. One mark still showed. He didn't ask what it meant. "You sure?" he asked. "No." She shut the lid. Headlights bloomed behind them. No engine growl, just the white eye of something waiting. His shoulders tensed. Same truck. Number bigger. A second set flared to life. Closer. She knelt. Set the box on the ground like an altar. He backed up. We should move. We won't make it far. You sound sure. I'm tired of running. Engines revved. Doors opened. Boots hit dirt hard. 3 men, 1 woman, all plainclothes but heavy with metal. Then the back door of the middle truck opened. A man stepped out in a clean coat, boots polished like they'd never seen mud. You chose the wrong side, he said. The man stepped forward. I chose her. Still time to change. I'm done changing. The girl stood, palms out. I've got what you're after. Do you? The clean man asked. She nodded to the box. Come see. One of the others stepped forward, slow, hand on his holster. Badge or fire, he muttered. The clean man raised his hand. Hold! The wind picked up. The grass hissed. The box didn't move. The man stepped beside her. They'll try anyway. I know. You trust me to hold? I trust you to stand. Boots circled. One voice cut through. Give us the map. No. You make this harder than it has to be. Good. The man in the coat stepped closer. You understand what you're risking? Yes. Your life? It's mine. He turned to the man beside her. And yours? I wasn't using it. One of the plainclothes men lit a match, tossed it into the grass near their boots. Flame licked up fast. The grass was dry, brittle. Sparks caught in seconds. You think fire scares us? The girl said. The woman in the back stepped forward. Badge or fire, girl? The girl looked at her. Neither. You think you've got a third choice? I do. What is it? Truth. The word hung like smoke, thin, dangerous, flammable. Are you ready to die for it? The woman asked. The girl looked at the box. Already did. One of the men stepped closer. There's no record of you anywhere. That's the point. The man in the coat leaned in. Open. It. She knelt again, lifted the lid. Let them see what Ash could still whisper. The man in the coat flinched. You remember that mark? She asked. He didn't answer. The younger man with him did. My brother wore that, etched on his belt. He talked back? She asked. He nodded. Once. Then he's in the circle, she said. The fire behind them grew louder. Someone kicked dirt on the edges, but it danced past their boots anyway. The clean man snapped. You think this is enough to take us down? No, the girl said. It's enough to make people ask why you're so scared of it. Another match sparked. This time the fire kissed a nearby branch. The woman stepped back. We should leave. We're not done, the clean man snapped. They are, the girl said. You just don't know how to bury what you hear. He looked at her, then at the box, then at the fire catching behind them, curling toward the trucks. We'll find you again, he said. Then you'll hear it all over. The woman turned, climbed back in the truck. The younger man hesitated, watching her. You said they talk, he asked. The ones who burned. They scream, she said. If you listen right. The man didn't reply. The truck started. One by one they pulled out. Gravel crunched under tires. No sirens, just dust. She watched them vanish. The fire behind her glowed steadily. The man exhaled. You all right? No. Are we still going? We never stopped. He picked up the box. Hold it with both hands like something living. You think they'll come back? Yes. Soon. Always. He nodded. Then we keep walking. She wiped her hands on her skirt. The ash stayed in her palms anyway. As they stepped away, the fire behind them flared once, as if to say one last thing. The box didn't burn. Not yet. Not until every mark was seen. They didn't knock. The door slammed open under the girl's palm, and she crossed the threshold without pause. The man followed, breath tight, boots dragging ash from outside into the tiled floor. The kitchen hit them hard, steam thick as breath, pot swinging, wood creaking like a throat about to clear. Someone stirred stew with a wide wooden spoon. Someone else sharpened a knife on a stone near the sink. And in the center, framed by peeling floral wallpaper and a crucifix nailed above the pantry, sat the matriarch. Sit, she said. Stand, the girl countered. Table's set, the matriarch said. Not for me. You bring fire in here. I bring the truth. The matriarch waved a hand. The pots stopped moving. The air was still. She didn't blink. Truth doesn't belong at this table, girl. Then flip it. The man stepped forward. Let's keep it steady. No, the girl said, voice sharp. She asked for silence her whole life. Now she's gonna... Listen. The matriarch pushed her chair back an inch. And who are you speaking to? You remember my name. I remember too many names. Then start saying them. The man pulled the ledger from the saddlebag and laid it on the table. The cover curled with age. The corners were stained with something that hadn't been stew. He opened it. Read. The room groaned. One of the younger women stepped back from the sink. The older man near the door stayed still, hand resting on a hammer wrapped in cloth. The girl stepped forward. Her voice cracked but didn't break. Page 17. He flipped. Hold it out. She didn't touch it, just stared. Children brought under sundown only. She recited. No light, no paper trail, marks to be recorded in the margin. Shut it, the matriarch said. No, she snapped. We read now. The man cleared his throat, read aloud. Left-handed, quiet, scar on hip. Mother surrendered. The matriarch stood. You don't understand what that was. The girl's voice went flat. You taught it. You watch your tongue. You watch your hands. The man looked at the page again. You sign this one. The matriarch stepped closer to the table, her fingers curled. You don't know what we were fighting against. The girl stepped to meet her. Then say it. Decay. Lawlessness. Girls who thought screaming meant power. And boys. Boys got buried like girls. The man turned another page. 13 entries, all with stars, all slashed. Means they resisted, the matriarch said. Means they disappeared, the girl said. The knife from the counter slid across the table. The older man didn't move. The girl looked at him. You're gonna let her talk like that? He looked away. Page 21, she said. The man flipped, stared. His voice dropped, failed to restrain, screamed in sleep, carved mark into beam. The girl whispered, That one was me. The matriarch's face shifted. First denial, then memory. You were the loud one. I was the one you couldn't break. You left. I survived. The kitchen held its breath. The man closed the ledger. Now what? He asked. Now she answers, the girl said. The matriarch turned to the others. You gonna let this happen in my house? No one moved. The stew boiled over. No one touched it. I remember your hands, the girl said. They never trembled, even when you pressed down. You were a difficult child. I was 6. The matriarch stepped back. The girl stepped forward. You stitched silence into every corner of this town. But this ledger, this is your voice now. The man placed the book on the burner. The metal was cold. The fire beneath it waited. Choose, he said. What? Burn it, or let it speak. The matriarch stared at the pages. The girl watched her. Your name's in every line. You signed every cut. The older man at the door whispered, She's not wrong. The matriarch didn't flinch. Burn it, she said. It's just paper. The girl stared. And when the names burn, do the graves go with them? No graves, the matriarch said. No markers. No proof. You forgot about me. Not for long. The fire hissed. The man reached toward the burner. The girl stopped him. Not yet. The matriarch looked her in the eye. You want guilt? No, the girl said. I want you to taste what it feels like. What? Sit. The matriarch didn't move. Sit. The girl repeated. And listen to your own words. The kitchen narrowed. Steam lifted from the pots like breath over a grave. She sat. The girl opened the ledger, read every mark, every crossed name, every slashed star. And when she was done, she said, Now you know how it feels to be remembered. The matriarch's eyes didn't leave the table. No one stirred the stew. No one reached for the knife. And the ledger stayed unburned, because sometimes fire wasn't the loudest justice. Sometimes it was memory that made the room shrink. The ledger hit the table again, louder this time. Dust rose off the cover like it had just exhaled. No one spoke. The girl stepped back, then dragged the chair out from under the matriarch's place. The legs scraped across the floor, loud and deliberate. She flipped it onto its side. Here, she said. Beneath. The man leaned in. Under the belly of the seat, barely visible through the stains and cracked wood, were scratches. Lines at first, then letters, then full names etched by something sharp and patient. The girl knelt, ran her fingers across the names like Braille. They wrote them from memory, when you take away paper. The matriarch didn't look. That chair's been here 40 years. Then 40 years of silence sat on top of this. I fed them. I clothed them. You sold them. The matriarch's mouth twitched. They were placements. The girl stood. Say the names. No. Say them. The woman's gaze was steady. They weren't names. They were prices. The room stiffened, pot still. The man at the sink shifted his weight. The girl grabbed the saddle straps from the floor, curled them into her fists like reins. You see these? I see old leather. This was his, my father's, the man you sent away for asking questions. I did no such thing. He vanished the day after he showed up at your door. Coincidence. He had that ledger. The matriarch's eyes flicked to the book on the table. That ledger is full of lies. He didn't write it. No, you did. Silence. The man opened the ledger again. Page 32. Cross-reference. With the chair. The girl crouched again. Here, see this one? She traced the name. Lilac. That's not a number. That's not an invoice. That's a child. The matriarch exhaled through her nose. Pretty names fetch better bids. The room tilted, slow and awful. The girl straightened. You said that like you still believe it. The matriarch smiled without warmth. Truth ages better than pity. The girl stepped closer. Then I'll make you listen. To what? The ones who didn't get a name. The matriarch's hand moved toward the drawer. The man saw it. Don't. She froze. The girl dropped the straps on the table hard. You made everyone here forget. No, the matriarch said. They chose to. They were scared. They were fed. The man stepped toward the table. Say Lilac's name. No. Say it. She cried too much. She couldn't keep still. She ruined linen. The girl's voice cracked. She was 7. She was loud. She was alive. The matriarch pressed her palms into the table. Not anymore. The chair behind her tipped. No one moved to catch it. The man placed the ledger beside the straps. People outside will want this. People outside don't come here, the matriarch said. They will now. The girl leaned close. Do you remember my name yet? The matriarch didn't blink. You're another one who lived. Does that bother you? It makes you reckless. It makes me feel necessary. The matriarch turned to the others in the room. Does anyone else feel the need today? They stayed quiet. You all carved these names, the girl said. Not with knives. With silence, the older man at the doorway looked away. The matriarch pointed. They stayed because I kept this place open. For who? For the ones who knew how to shut up. The girl grabbed the ledger and straps. Then maybe it's time we shut you up instead. The matriarch sat down hard, as if gravity had finally remembered her. I hope they haunt you, the girl said. They won't, she replied. They were too small to matter. The girl turned. That's where you're wrong. They were small enough to fit under a chair, and still write their names. The man opened the door. Light poured in, warm and cold at once. You coming? He asked. The girl didn't move. Just one more thing, she said. She pulled the chair up, turned it upright, sat down. Then she pressed the ledger flat and read the names under her breath. Everyone, slowly. The room listened, even the matriarch, because the truth doesn't always shout. Sometimes it just sits down in the seat where pain lives. And speak. They left the house in silence. The ledger pressed tight between the man's arm and his ribs. The girl held the saddle straps like they were guiding her more. Then she was guiding them. Outside, the night hung low. No wind, just the creak of a wooden gate swinging on rusted hinges. The man lit the lantern. Flame flickered. Orange and gold carved through the dark, reaching a line of stones half sunken along the field's edge. She didn't hesitate. I walked straight to the fence of uneven markers, names carved by dull blades, letters worn down by time or intention. Some are just dates, others misspelled. One stone had no marks at all. These, she said, they don't match the ledger. He knelt, ran a hand over the closest one. This one says Jonah T. The book has Jonah L. wrong age too. Ledger said 5. This one reads 10. He looked at her. That ledger's older than these stones. Exactly. Boots crunched behind them. The man stood, stiff. She didn't turn. A voice barked. You shouldn't be here. She exhaled. We knew you'd come. A deputy, badge dull under the lantern light. Not the first one they'd seen, not the last. He stepped closer, hand on his hip. You got papers for this ground? Got bones, the girl said. The deputy glanced at the man. Are you digging? Yes. You got permission? No. Then step away. No. The deputy tensed. Don't make this harder than it needs to be. The girl stepped forward. Then hand me a shovel. The deputy didn't move. Dig? She asked the man. He looked at the ground, at the stones, at the names that didn't match. Dig, he said. They found tools behind the shed, shovels rusted at the edges but strong enough. She picked one, he picked the other. The deputy shouted, Stop, she answered without looking back. Start. The first strike hit soft, grass and topsoil. The second clanged against a root. The third sunk deeper. The man grunted, sweat on his neck. The girl moved like she'd been waiting to do this for years. Deeper, she said. Another shovel of dirt landed on the edge of the hole, then another. The deputy watched. If we pull up nothing, the man asked. The girl didn't stop digging. Then you finally feel what we felt. The ground thickened. The soil turned dark, wet. She paused. Hear that? He leaned in. What? Underneath. Listen. Then it came. A hollow thud. Not wood, not rock. Something that didn't belong. She knelt, brushed the dirt with her hands. Soft cloth. Frayed. Faded blue, too small for a grown coat. Buttons missing. The man pulled his lantern closer, a child's shirt, still folded like someone packed it. He swallowed. Keep going. She nodded. They cleared more. Found a buckle, a tiny shoe, then another. No casket, no markers. The deputy backed up one step. You're proving nothing. She stood. Hold the shoe in one hand. Proving they were here. Could be anything. Could be everything. The man held up the ledger. Jonah L., age 5, missing left shoe, given a blue cotton shirt. He pointed to the grave. Still want to talk? The deputy looked away. You were here then, the girl said. Weren't you? He didn't answer. I remember your boots. You stood by the barn when they brought them in. Watched. I was told to do nothing. I didn't know. Now you do. He stepped back again. I can't fix this. You don't have to. Then what do you want? She dropped the shoe. It landed on the dirt with a soft final thud. I want you to dig the next one. The deputy stared at her, then at the shovel still planted in the ground. You want to help? She said. Start now. The man said nothing, just watched. The deputy didn't move at first. Then he stepped forward, picked up the shovel, and dug. Slow, uneven. But, honestly, another thud came. Then a button, then a cloth doll, head stitched with uneven thread. The girl turned to the man. We dig until we match every name to every stone. How many? He asked. She looked at the ledger. 13. He swallowed. And if we find more. She wiped her hands on her shirt. Then we keep digging. The lantern flickered, but the hole held steady. Names don't rest easy in the wrong ground. And tonight, the dirt was ready to listen. The barn looked smaller now, like the weight of what it had seen had pulled the roof down inch by inch. The boards warped inward. The rafters hung low. The old doors, always stubborn, creaked wide like they already knew what was coming. The girl walked in first. She held the straps like reins again, this time not to guide a horse, just to keep her hands from shaking. The man followed, the ledger tight under his arm, shoulders tense like the paper inside might explode. He lit a lantern, set it on the center table. Flame flickered over dust. The walls breathed, not wind, just old wood remembering. He opened the ledger. The girl laid the small items beside it, doll, shoe, button, cloth, the pieces they'd pulled from graves that didn't match names. She whispered, they were here. The man nodded. Still are. A car door slammed, then another. Boots hit dirt. She didn't look, just stepped back from the table and waited. The sheriff entered first. The silver badge on his chest was dull under lantern light. His eyes are sharper than before. Tired, maybe, but not weak. He stopped just inside, looked around like someone returning to a crime scene no one else knew existed. 2 deputies flanked him, one older, one young. Both wore guns but didn't reach for them. The sheriff spoke. "This ends tonight." The girl answered, steady. "It ended years ago. We're just catching up. You came into my town, stirred up ghosts. That ledger you're holding, it's fake." The man stepped forward. "It's your handwriting on page 46. The sheriff didn't flinch. "Forgery. You signed beneath a name," the man said. Then crossed it out. */ means nothing. The girl stepped beside him. "It means someone talked back." The sheriff moved closer. "I'm giving you one chance." "To do what?" "Drop the ledger, drop the act, walk away." "No," she said. He looked at the table, at the items, the map, the page, the old chair she'd carried in and flipped upside down, names etched into the wood beneath it. "You think this'll undo what happened?" "No," she said. "It'll show who did it." One of the deputies shifted. "Sheriff?" "Quiet." The younger one took a step forward. "She's got the records." "Back off," the sheriff barked. The girl didn't move. "You knew we'd come here." "Didn't expect you to light it up." "No fire yet," the man said. "But the wood remembers." The sheriff stepped forward again. "Drop the letters." The man raised his voice. "Drop the gun." "Are you threatening me?" "Not yet. I've put men down for less. I've read what you buried." "You can't prove a thing." The girl raised the straps. "Then why are you sweating?" He didn't answer. The older deputy stepped back toward the door. The younger one kept watching the table. "What is that?" he asked. She looked at him. "Truth." "Why now?" "Because no one else would." The sheriff pulled his weapon. "I said drop the letters." The man raised a hand. "You won't shoot." "Try me." "You won't speak either." Silence settled. Then, behind them, the wind moved. A plank on the far wall clapped shut. The barn shifted. The girl pulled a match from her coat pocket. "Hold it up." The box rattled in her palm. "You don't want to do that," the sheriff warned. She struck it. Flame flared. "Put it out." "No." "You light this place." "Then maybe it finally tells the truth." She stepped forward, match in one hand, ledger in the other. The sheriff raised the gun. "Choose." "I did," she said. She dropped the match. The straw by her feet flared fast. Orange ran up the wall, caught on the old banner still nailed to the rafter. The sheriff backed up. The deputies froze. "You're out of your mind," he said. "No," she whispered. "I'm done being silent." The man grabbed her arm. "Time to go." "Not yet." The fire climbed higher. The old table crackled. The sheriff turned, yelled at the deputies. "Get back!" They stumbled out. The girl walked to the middle of the room, eyes on the flames. "This barn raised this town, didn't it?" "Yes." The sheriff spat. "And this is where they screamed." He didn't answer. The man threw the ledger into the fire. The girl dropped the straps beside it. The names carved into the chair caught next. Smoke curled. Upward, black, thick, slow. The girl walked toward the door. The man followed. Behind them, the barn didn't explode. It whispered. It warmed the night like an old mouth finally opening. The sheriff stepped out last. Face lit orange. He looked down at his badge, then threw it into the flames. They all watched it disappear. No one cheered. No one clapped. The girl stared straight ahead. "Are we still going?" the man asked. "We never stopped," she said. The barn burned behind them. A slow, thoughtful fire. The kind that doesn't just destroy. The kind that remembers what it's taking with it. The flames climbed slowly, not rushing, like they'd waited long enough and wanted every second to mean something. The rafters groaned. Smoke curled up the beams and wrote lines across the ceiling. Lines no one would forget. The man coughed once, pulled his coat tighter, and stepped back from the heat. "Back," he said. "Come on." The girl didn't move. She stood in the doorway of the barn, watching the fire spread from the ledger to the straps to the old beam, with the names carved underneath. "You'll choke," he tried again. She shook her head. "Not yet." A plank snapped somewhere near the loft. Sparks showered down like they were trying to be stars. He grabbed her wrist. "Please." She turned to him, pressed something small into his palm. He looked down. A folded cloth scrap, stiff with age. Sewn into the corner was a name, one of the names they dug up. The thread was uneven, maybe stitched by a child. "What is this?" "Lilacs." "Why me?" "Because you hear." "And you." "Because I remember." He closed his fist around it. Behind them, the flames chewed louder. The rafters began to sink. The banner finally curled in on itself and dropped into the fire. The girl stepped outside. The man followed. The barn was fully lit now, throwing orange across the field, painting the faces of those gathering at the fence line. First a few, then more. Neighbors, farm hands, women with aprons still on, children clinging to their sides, the preacher's wife, the man from the feed store, the deputy who dug, the one who didn't. They all stood watching. Some crossed their arms, others let their hands hang. No one spoke. The fire said enough. The girl walked forward, slowly, toward the fence. She stopped just before it. Some of you knew, she said. No one looked away. Some of you heard them and turned over in bed. No one denied it. Some of you helped. The wind blew ash through her hair. The man came up beside her. They don't know what to do. They don't have to. Not yet. She stepped closer to the fence line. The crowd didn't move. She held up the cloth scrap. This is what we found, beneath a name that didn't match a grave. A few eyes dropped. The cloth fluttered in the wind. We burned the ledger because it had your hands all over it, your signatures, your ink, your silence. Still, no one spoke. Tell me, she said, scanning the crowd. What do you keep? What do you burn? One voice spoke, an older woman. We keep our children safe. From what? The girl asked. The woman didn't answer. Another voice, a man with a hat in his hands. We burn what makes us ashamed. She nodded. Then tonight's a good start. She walked along the fence, slow. The barn held stories no one wanted to say out loud, but they were there, carved into chairs, worn into beams, pressed into dust. The fire hissed louder behind them. The roof folded. They screamed in there, she said, and you called it discipline. A few flinched. I was one of them. So was my brother. So was the one who stitched this. She held up the cloth again. The man at her side stepped forward. I didn't grow up here, but I heard enough to know when someone's lying. He looked out at the crowd, and when someone's listening. The girl turned to the group. You have a choice. The smoke rolled past them now, stretching long over the grass. You can pretend this night didn't happen. A long pause. Or you can make sure it never happens again. The fire cracked behind them. Embers scattered into the air like seeds. She folded the cloth, held it against her chest, then handed it to the preacher's wife. The woman's hands shook as she took it. The girl said, You keep this. You tell her name. The woman nodded, silent. The girl looked once more at the faces in front of her, then turned back toward the barn. The man followed. He didn't ask where they'd go next. She didn't say anything. The barn behind them didn't scream. It sighed, like it had finally finished holding its breath. And in the fields around them nothing moved, not because they were afraid, but because they were at last ready to listen. The barn groaned once more and settled into an orange hush. Flame still curled around the rafters like the last breath of something too proud to scream. The walls, scorched and cracked, began to fold in on themselves. A slow bowing, not collapse, like the building was taking a final prayer. She stood at the edge of the smoke, arms crossed. Her face was unreadable, lit by what remained. The man crouched and picked something from the dirt. A badge, dull, bent at the edge. He turned it over in his hand. He really left it. She didn't answer. He dropped it back to the ground, face down. So, what now? She turned toward the road without looking at him. We ride. Where? She swung her leg up onto the saddle. Where the silence ends. He mounted beside her. Will it? She adjusted the strap. His strap, her father's strap, the one that held through fire and digging in names that didn't match. If we make it. The horses shifted. Saddles creaked. The smell of smoke stayed close to their skin, in their hair, in the leather beneath them. Behind them, the crowd still watched. No one spoke. No one moved to put the fire out. The barn was allowed to finish. They started forward. Hooves on gravel, soft and even. Dawn hovered in the distance. Not yet light, not yet gone. He asked, You believe they'll change? They already did, she said. Because we burned it? Number because we didn't run. A bird called once, sharp, quick. Then silence returned. He shifted in the saddle. What happens when we hit the next town? We show them the name. What if they don't care? They will. And if they don't? She looked at him. Then we ride further. He nodded, pulled the collar of his coat higher. Still got the cloth. She tapped her coat pocket. You gonna keep it? I'll pass it on. To who? Someone who needs to remember. They rode past the edge of the field, where the graves were now marked by fresh dirt, small mounds that didn't belong to any story until now. No stones yet, just earth, raw and honest. She slowed as they passed. He watched her face. You say goodbye to them? No, she said. I say sorry. He nodded. That too. The wind carried the smell of pine. Clean. Not enough to erase smoke, but enough to hint there might be something past it. The road opened wide, empty. No wagons, no carts, no lawmen. Just them, and a path that didn't curve yet. He asked, You ever think we'd get here? She shook her head. Didn't think I'd survive the ledger. You did more than survive. Not yet. He looked at her. Are you still afraid? She nodded. Yeah, me too. A stretch of silence followed, the kind that didn't hurt anymore, the kind that felt earned. Then she asked, You think it'll ever stop hurting? He looked ahead. Number, but I think it'll hurt differently. Like what? Like a scar. She nodded slowly. They passed a tree where initials had been carved into the bark. Long ago. A heart. A date. Faded beyond reading. He said, Someone thought they'd last. Maybe they did. Do you think we will? No. Then why try? She answered softly, Because they did. A mile passed. Then two. The sun considered rising. Not bold, just curious. Pale light brushed across their faces. He looked at her. How far are you willing to go? As far as I have to. And me? She smiled, just barely. You already did. The road forked. One way dipped toward the river, the other rose toward the hills. She didn't hesitate, pulled the reins left, toward the hills. He followed. The wind picked up, blue smoke behind them. The barn was aglow in the far distance now, nothing but a shape inside memory. A shape that said something ended, and maybe something else. Started, he asked. You know where this road ends? She nodded. Where? She looked ahead. Where someone listens. He let out a breath. That's enough for me. The sun broke then. Not loud, not fast. Just enough light to see the straps glint at the edge. Old leather, new promise. And the road finally went forward. They rode until the smoke behind them became just a scent. Not flame, not memory. Just the kind of thing that clung to cloth and stayed through a second wash. The sun was up now. Full, quiet, unbothered by what burned before it. The horses moved slowly, not tired, just no longer chased. The girl rode ahead. The man led her. She didn't speak for a long time, and he didn't ask her to. They passed a fence with ribbons tied to it, faded blue, one red. They fluttered like they still waited for someone to return. He pointed. You know this place? She didn't answer. A mile later, she finally said, My name's not in the ledger. He looked over. What? They marked me once, then I crossed it out. He swallowed. Why? Because I disappeared before they could finish. He didn't speak. She kept going. They didn't count me because I got away. And I thought that meant I didn't belong with the others. But you came back. I had to. They stopped at a stream. The horses drank. The man filled his canteen. She stayed seated, stared at the water like it might answer something. You think it's over? He asked. No. Think it'll ever be? She looked up. Only when no one has to bury their name just to stay alive. He handed her the canteen. You said they crossed yours out. They thought that erased me. It didn't. She drank, wiped her mouth. I want to carve it somewhere. He nodded. Where? Somewhere they can't take it back. They rode into the next town as the sky flattened into the early afternoon. Not big. One street, a church, a dinner, a schoolhouse with a bell that hadn't rung since winter. She dismounted near the courthouse steps. The man followed, heart kicking faster than it had during the fire. You sure? He asked. No. She reached into her coat, pulled out a folded slip of paper. Not from the ledger, just hers. She handed it to him. He unfolded it. A single name, written in a child's hand. He looked at her. This is yours. It was supposed to be. She walked up the steps. People watched. Same way they had by the burning barn, quiet, curious, scared. She pulled a nail from her pocket, then a rock, no hammer, no ceremony. She crouched at the base of the wall and began to carve. The rock scraped slowly, unevenly, letter by letter. The man stood behind her, the slip of paper still open in his hand. A boy stepped forward from the crowd, maybe 9, held his mother's hand. He asked, "What's she doing?" The mother didn't answer. The boy asked again. This time the man spoke. "She's writing her name where no one can erase it." The boy nodded, like that made sense. The crowd held still. No cheers, no whispers, just the hush of something important. The last letter carved, the girl stood. She turned to the man. He looked at her name, crooked but deep in the stone. She said, "Now I remember." He nodded. "So will they." She stepped off the courthouse steps, left her rock on the ledge, and for the first time in years, she said her name out loud, not for him, not for them, but for herself, and the wind carried it forward like it finally knew where to go.